Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Salt and Burn This, a supernatural rewatch podcast. My name is Sammy.
I'm Valerie.
Thanks for joining us. My ear pod fell out. That's what that whole dance move was about.
That was very well choreographed.
Oh, thanks.
So it's quite the talented ear you have to be able to like squeeze an ear pod out. Oh. That'd be disgusting if you could actually do that.
I can already do the weird eye crossy thing. I don't need to be weird ear tricks along with that.
Oh, that'd just be gross. I think I would actually have to unfriend you if you told me you could do that.
I would allow that.
So you said you fell into rabbit holes on this episode. Mm-hmm. I could not get through it, and not because of the episode, but when I sat down to do it the other day, I literally ran out of time and had to, hit pause. So I got like maybe 25 minutes into it, had to hit pause and had to step away. And then this morning when I got up to do it, my TV stopped working. Like I could hear, but I couldn't see. And so that took like an hour and a half of my time of me trying to figure out why my TV stopped working, which I never did figure it out. So I finished doing this episode on my computer, and so that was like 2 extra hours of my day, because then I had to finish packing, get in the car, come. Oh, it was just stupid. It was just stupid. So I was like, I couldn't get through it because of and then my like pencil ran out of lead while I was taking notes.
Oh my God.
Because I had a mechanical pencil.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, what next? Am I going to run out of paper because I'm at the end of my notebook? Is my pen that I picked up going to run out? It was like everything was stopping me from taking notes and doing this episode.
Wow.
So I kind of giggled when you said that it took you as long as it did, because like, oh, wow, somebody didn't want us doing this episode.
Right. But my body is so exhausted. Because the past 2 weeks I've been trying to get back into a workout routine, even if it's not every day, it's at least, a majority of the week. So like 4 to 5 days of the week. Yep. And even on the days that I don't work out, I'm still walking all the time because of the dogs. So, I mean, that's a good exercise, 20-minute walks
live in
all
New
the
York.
time.
Yeah.
Exactly. And living in New York. So yesterday I did a HIIT workout, which I did not anticipate it being so leg focused. And then today during my skating class, I was a mess. I was so off balance. Like I felt like a baby giraffe. I felt like those Vegas, like doing the Vegas girl walk, but on, skates instead of high heels when you're drunk. It felt a little bit like that. It was so annoying because I've been doing really well, and like each lesson I've been learning something new, and it's like awesome, and then I have like more things to practice, but this time it was like I had to go like 3 steps backward
because you didn't have the control of your legs because you had jelly legs.
Yeah, even my teacher was like, what's wrong with you? You don't usually you're not usually like
you don't usually suck. What's the matter with you?
Season 3, Episode 9, Malleus Maleficarum. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I think it's close.
It's Latin. It's a dead language. You did fine.
Fair enough. Sam and Dean travel to Sturbridge, Massachusetts, and discover a coven of witches that has killed 2 people. Written by Ben Udland and directed by Robert Singer. So a note on this title.
You get to do it this time.
Malleus Maleficarum is a real book that was written by a Catholic clergyman, Heinrich Kramer, which is essentially like a manual on witches and how to try them.
How to spot them, how to define a witch, and then how to try them.
So this book is written in 3 parts. The first one is to prove that witchcraft exists, and not believing in witchcraft is heresy in itself. Part 2 are to denote specific cases of witchcraft and to prove the case of how witches are recruited by existing witches. So it's like this pyramid scheme of witches, I guess.
Yeah, a witness of witchcraft. There's so much about this book.
It is, and I don't want to like go too much into it because that was one of the rabbit holes that I fell into. So this was just based off of a video. I mean, I read like a bunch of stuff, but this I felt was like the most succinct way to put it. And it was on a video from the Library of Congress, in which like one of these books is held. I think it was an edition from, not the first one, but like one of the very, very early ones. Because there's like 29 editions in the span of 200 years. Because at first it wasn't taken very seriously, and then all of a sudden it like picked up speed.
And then was the book for 200 years, like that persecuted women for 200 years.
Right, because part 3 of this book is then how to deal with witches once you find them. Like how to do the whole trial, how to punish them, how to conduct the trial itself, such as don't let the witch touch you, let her walk in backwards, because if she makes eye contact with you, then she can do her crazy spells.
It's been noted to be one of the most blood-soaked and hateful books written ever.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's a notable right there.
Right.
Right. The title itself in Latin, it means
witch's hammer.
Yeah. Well, it's not witch's hammer. It's the hammer for witches, meaning the hammer to hammer down witches. Yeah. It's not. It doesn't belong to witches. It's the hammer you use against witches.
Hammer. No. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
I know. Because this guy, because at first he was dismissed as kind of a crazy old man during one of his earlier witch hunts. He's just like, she's a witch. And they're just like, yeah, okay, guy. Or he's a slap on the wrist, lady. Okay, witch, go on your way. And so it's thought that he wrote this book out of revenge. He's like, oh, I'll show you, you women.
Well, yeah, exactly. He singles out that women are the weaker sex. They're not only weaker physically, but they're weaker in faith. They're lustful and easy by nature, and thus easy prey for Satan to then recruit them because of their lustful ways.
Right. And I think that's what this part 2 alludes to is, the recruitment of witches is, how to spot the weak-minded people.
Sorry. I said I would stay away from it, and I will.
So anyway, that was the title of the episode. It's a real thing. It's not just a crazy Latin phrase that they threw out.
Yeah, it's not a chant. It's an actual book.
So just think of the Salem witch trials, and that's basically this book. So
the recap.
Go ahead. Take it away.
I was going to say the recap. It varied only slightly. It still had it focused on the Demon's Blade, which was kind of cool. It's still the Kill Some Evil Sons of Bitches by Dean. Ruby is in this one. And the idea is there's something wrong with Sam is brought up again. So that was the main gist of the recap for me. The Now, I don't remember seeing a Chiron. Did you see one? Was there a map quest?
There was, yes. And I think it was after the title splash is where I saw it. Sturbridge. Massachusetts.
No, Massachusetts. Okay. Well, they got the town. They got the state right.
Yeah.
But the Now is it's a like suburban home. This attractive couple is coming home after an evening of, I'm assuming, a dinner party of some kind, or a work dinner party.
It was a boring party, whatever it was.
Whatever it was.
They did not have a fun time.
Yeah. The woman is gonna go get ready for bed. The husband's gonna go get wine or something so they can settle down for the evening.
Well, yeah, they're getting ready for some sexy time. They were just like, oh la la la.
We'll make up our own good time here.
Yeah.
And so this beautiful woman goes into the bathroom, gets into her her nightgown, starts to brush her teeth, and then is like, oh, this doesn't feel right, and is able to pull a tooth out of her mouth.
Yes. Because at the same time this is happening, another woman somewhere else, we just see a close-up of her teeth, is chanting in some sort of foreign language, which is undetermined.
Not Latin.
Yeah. It's not Latin. It's not
Latin.
German. I thought it was maybe German. I think
it sounded.
I don't know what it is. Gaelic?
Hebrew.
I don't think it's Hebrew.
Sami and Valerie don't know what language it was.
No. I don't think that was another rabbit hole I fell into, was like, what language is she speaking? Because I was going to use my Google Translate thing to see what she's saying. And there's a limited amount of languages in there that, can do the speech to text kind of thing. So Irish and Gaelic were not one of them. So
it had a lot of shush. It had a lot of consonants in it.
Yeah,
which,
sh and the h, what made me think it was maybe German at first.
Oh, that's why I thought it was Hebrew or Yiddish.
So anyway, it's an undetermined language.
Okay.
But she's there and she's like doing this foreign language chant blood ritual over a toothbrush.
Right. And and you see blood dripping onto the toothbrush as well, whatever she's chanting over. And so in the meantime, this girl in the bathroom is not only pulling out one tooth, now she's like spitting out teeth and is now gagging and choking on her own blood. She's called for the man. The man can't get into the bathroom. The door is like slammed shut. And then suddenly everything goes quiet. The door unlatches. And the man is able to go in and find, I'm assuming it's his wife, in a pool of blood, dead on the bathroom floor.
Yes, it's when the ritual ends, because this woman, the other woman, the mouth woman,
the chanter,
she like finishes her chant and then like stabs the toothbrush with this like big bright shiny dagger that she's like been
slicing her hand with.
Yeah, exactly. So then at the last stabby stab of the toothbrush is kind of when the door decides to open itself.
Yeah.
Oh no. Splash.
So Dean and Sam in suits. They are in disguise as CDC representatives. I believe they called themselves Bachman and Turner.
That was later when they play something else. They are detectives in another scene.
Bachman and Turner. Okay.
Bachman.
So which is why I didn't see it in my notes. I just made the jump in my head.
They are unnamed CDC agents. Here.
And I love that Dean is questioning the guy whose wife is dead on the floor. Dean's doing the questioning. In the meantime, Sam is surreptitiously searching around the bathroom.
Right.
And just checking. So he's investigating, on the sly while Dean is distracting and also asking questions of the guy.
That was a nice scene of teamwork, I felt.
Yeah, teamwork, but also of like habitual teamwork. Like they've done this particular setup before. They've done this before because Sam is looking for something. He's not just randomly opening the medicine cabinet and checking what pills are in there. He's looking for something. And, Dean is asking questions about, did your wife have any enemies, which seems typical, but weird coming from a CDC guy, like, did someone try to poison your wife? That type of thing. Yeah. And the guy doesn't really give anything up. He's like, everybody loved her. Everybody loved my wife. And in the meantime,
except for a pause, like he does like a very obvious kind of like, what do you mean? What? And then like kind of does this like look off into the distance as if he's thinking of somebody.
That one person who doesn't love her.
Until Dean is like, hello? He's like, oh, no, everybody loved her.
Everybody
totally
loved her.
Fine.
And in the meantime, Sam has found what he's looking for, and it's like a little cloth bag. And he kind of signals to Dean, like, all right, we got what we need. Let's go.
Yep.
As they're walking out, Sam and Dean, confide in each other. The guy seemed sketchy. He's hiding something, and Sam says, oh, well, maybe it's because we found a hex bag.
Right.
And Dean is like, oh, son of a bitch, not a hex bag. That hex bag means witches. And apparently they've had a history of witches that we don't fully know about.
Right. Because Dean really hates witches. He's like,
I love that he's like, it's unsanitary. They're always spewing bodily fluids. It's just gross. But inside this hex bag is, what is it? Bird bones and rabbit's teeth. And they're like, oh, this is dark magic. This isn't just like random witchy stuff.
Old magic.
Magic.
And it also has something of Janet's. There's another piece of cloth in it. Sam mentions like this probably belonged to Janet, which is why it's tied to her.
Right.
So, this wasn't random. Somebody had it in for her and like purposefully placed it for her and not just like the household, but
right. Or the husband.
Exactly. So, just a quick note on these hex bags, and a little bit more background on this episode. Ben Udland, who is the head writer, apparently was really into witchcraft in his youth. So much so he wanted to become a witch. Like he did so much studying. He was just like, I really want to be a witch.
Oh, yeah.
Until it was too hard.
Until you actually had to be educated.
Right. It's like, oh, this is way too much work. Never mind. I feel that. I feel that, Ben and Linda. I do. But these hex bags, I think, if I was reading it right, were his idea, because they're inspired by something real called step magic, which is something that's placed in the path of somebody. Maybe it's intended for a certain person, or maybe just random. But once somebody steps onto it, then they catch that magic, be it a blessing or a curse or what have you.
Huh.
So if there's a charm, maybe they have a banana peel. Maybe they did something with a banana peel and they put it on the sidewalk, and then it just sits there until somebody steps onto it, and then whatever that banana peel was infused with, then gets transferred onto the person who stepped onto it.
No matter who it is.
I think so, yes. I mean, this was just like a little blip. And so then that's where, how do I turn this into a supernatural thing? How can we visualize this in a TV show? And then they came up with this hex bag thing. Well,
considering that they just talked about mojo bags, a couple episodes ago, that makes sense. That's a fairly easy concept to wrap your head around. The idea of magic in a bag, whether it's good magic or bad magic.
Right. But like something tying it to the intended person, and then also being in the vicinity of that intended person. I kind of love the idea of hex bags and how they use them in Supernatural and continue to use them.
I was going to say, they come up again. Yeah.
Often. Yeah. Many times there's hex bags.
Well, what I love is that they're planting stories or nuggets for like us as the audience member to then, when Sam and Dean later down the line come across something, you say, oh, could it be a hex bag? Or could it be this other thing? So it's like we start to go through our own diary of what could it be?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's, so I like that.
Our Rolodex of monsters. So now
we
can add witches to the thing.
Exactly. All the witchy things.
So on to the next scene. They're back in the neighborhood. A woman is coming out of the van, and her neighbor, Elizabeth, is like, "Oh, you missed book club. We missed you. Are you okay?" This other woman who's coming out of the van, whose name is Amanda, very distracted, obviously up to no good, through her accent, carrying a bag of groceries, and if one looks closely, you could see a bandage on her hand. So you're like, oh, okay.
Well, we know who that is.
Yeah.
But so Bandage Girl, what's her name?
Amanda.
Amanda puts her groceries down and then goes to the oven and opens the oven door and pulls out what you think is a roast chicken.
Mm-hmm.
It is a roast chicken, but clearly it's been roasted, a long time ago. It is crawling with like worms and maggots.
Oh.
But surprisingly enough, the kale still green. So what does that tell you about kale? Yes, set that down on the kitchen counter. So that can't be good.
Even the maggots won't touch kale.
Dean is right. Witches are disgusting.
yeah, she sets this maggot infested chicken down. She's obviously not surprised that it's covered in creepy crawlies.
Right. She's gonna do something with it.
Then the next thing I wrote down was sad Paul is eating a sad burger, listening to a sad song in his sad car.
I just wrote, why? I was like, why? Sitting outside of a sad diner, like you said, eating a sad burger, listening to sad music in a sad car. I'm like, why? Why is he there? Is he looking at something? Is it like, was he supposed to meet somebody there? What?
I do not know.
Every rose has its thorn. Yeah, I can't sing, by the way. So funny side story. Yeah. I was doing a cross-country trip with a friend of mine. We were coming back from a gig and we were taking turns driving, and I had just switched over to being the passenger, and I had a bandana on. I just put it over my eyes so I could just kind of crash. And then Every Rose Has Its Thorn came on the radio. So I was just kind of singing it, just kind of, and I heard some giggling. And so I took my bandana down. I realized that she had been recording me.
Oh no.
While I was literally singing it like, every rose has its thorn. I mean, bad. I was doing bad. And she recorded me. And to this day, she still blackmails me with this recording of me. So when the song started playing on the radio, I was like, oh no, this is
triggered.
This
PTSD.
It's not gonna be good for anybody. No. Yes.
So I guess he's just doesn't want to be at home, or maybe it's just an excuse to have the boys find him easily later,
right?
Which they somehow do. But in between then and now, Amanda starts a little ritual thing again.
She's like in lingerie, crazy language. She put the plate of nasty food on some sort of pentagram insignia thing.
Oh yeah, she's got like a whole altar set up now. Yeah, it's just later.
Like, Paul, whatever his last name is, Paul, this meal was made just for you.
And now you're going to eat it.
You're gonna eat it.
Also on the radio, it turns from sad every rose has its thorn to I put a spell on you.
I was like, that is so on the nose. But as that's playing, Paul takes I got a bad bite of something. And then he pulls like a maggot out of his mouth and looks at his burger, and it's just crawling with maggots that weren't there before.
Yeah. Okay. So during my aforementioned HIIT workout that I was doing, I actually was doing it while I watched this episode for the first time. The first watch. Two birds with one stone, right? So I had my little workout girl on my phone, and then on the TV I was watching the episode. I was already nauseated from
from working
the workout, and then this burger showed up, and I was like, I was so close to retching. Not even joking. I had to look away. Away. I couldn't do it.
Oh no! You're like, nope, can't. Doesn't matter that it's TV. Oh
no,
man,
because those were real maggots. They had a maggot.
Oh, I'm sure they were. I'm sure they did. My cousin does that stuff.
I was going to say, has your cousin ever been a maggot wrangler?
Not a maggot wrangler, but some.
I know that's not his specialty, but has he ever done maggots?
Oh, I'm sure he has. I can call him and ask him.
There's an episode coming up in the future that also has real maggots. Not as prominently, but yeah, maybe you can just call him, have him send in a voice note to see if he's ever worked with maggots. What is it like?
Because if it's anything like having to, wrangle cockroaches, you have to account for every cockroach. It's not just oops, one got squished. It's no, you don't squish cockroaches.
Yeah. He sees the maggots and appropriately
he starts out. Gags and chokes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Gets out, starts choking, and it's obviously more than just
gagging. He actually can't breathe. Yeah.
Right. Lo and behold, the boys roll up.
They don't just roll up. They launch the Impala over a curb. Oh my God. A little ridiculous. I didn't really appreciate that shot. But yes, they roll into the scene. They jump out of the car. They try to save Paul from choking. that's not helping. So Sam is now rummaging through the car looking for a hex bag. He finds it and pulls out a wonderful creme brulee, like butane lighter, and sets it on fire, and it like bursts into this beautiful blue flame, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And at the same time that happens, Amanda on the other end, like her dinner like bursts into blue flame, and she's like, "Oh, hey!" She's like, "That's never happened before," and she doesn't know what to do with that. But also, Paul stops choking. The spell is broken. Yeah. So now that Paul is not choking, Sam and Dean can talk to him and be like, "Dude, what's going on?"
You got to tell us the truth. Like, someone wants you dead, just like they actually killed Janet. So
what's going on? Who could it have been? And that's when he's like, "Oh, well, there was this girl that I just broke up with. I had an affair with, and I ended it just last week, and she wasn't happy about it."
Right. She was unstable, and she was blackmailing me, so I ended it.
Yep. So,
yeah,
a clue.
What's her name? And then in answer, the camera cuts to Amanda, who is flipping through her
like her own journal of witchcraft. Yeah.
Which apparently, and this was in my language rabbit hole. Apparently, some of those pages are like the Lord's Prayer, but written in either Irish or Gaelic.
Really?
Yeah.
Sammy, I'm so impressed with you right now.
Girl, that's why it took me like 4 fucking hours to do this.
Oh my God, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I was impressed though with her own like dad's journal of witchcraft.
Right. It reminded me of my own little cookbook that I have, which is in a 3-ring binder, and it's just pages that I have found. It's mostly like HelloFresh recipes and stuff. Just but put in like the ones that I actually liked and like made. But it's just like in a 3-ring binder that I 3-hole punched and like put together. So that's kind of what it reminded me. Or like my mom's cookbook of the same nature that it's like a photo album book. You know, there's like weird sticky pages that you can put things in between. Instead of photos,
the static cling pages.
Yes. So instead of photos, she's put like clippings from magazine of a recipe that she liked, or like index cards from her mother. It's kind of what it reminded me of, but satanic rituals.
It's pentagrams and and chants, and she is not finding what she's looking for.
No.
And then suddenly Amanda like gasps in pain and looks at her wrists, and her wrists suddenly like get these giant slashes in them from like bone to almost elbow, from wrist bone to almost elbow, 3 on each wrist. And she looks terrified as this is happening to her. And screaming, and then suddenly, falls over onto her. Was it a coffee table? A glass coffee table?
This was, and I'm not going to fault her for this, because again, it's, she has to do something that the director is telling her, like, just imagine this is happening. She's just like looking at her wrist, terrified, great, like, and then she does this one final scream, and then hard falls. If you know what I'm trying to say, if you can visualize that, hard
face
falls.
Plant,
Yes, a face plant into her glass coffee table, and then dead. It's just like, dead.
Yeah, but not only that, but smash onto glass table so that your boobies in your lingerie
her
squash flat.
Amazing.
Yeah, I literally wrote booby squish. Yeah, that's all I could see. I wasn't like, oh no, she's dead. I was like, hey, look, her boobs are flat.
And the camera cuts to that.
Yes,
quite often.
Yeah, but can you imagine being like setting that shot up, and then having to like rehearse it and be like, no, make sure your boobs go this way, or your boobs. Right. Like, come on.
Yeah, there's definitely somebody like in the back. I don't know what they call that position, where they're like checking the shots. Being like, okay, now squish a little bit down.
Yep.
Go up from, situate the lady.
Right.
Perfect. Don't
perfect.
Move. The cleave looks great.
Squish. Yep. She's dead. Her boobs are flat.
Oh yeah, she's dead, by the way.
Yeah. So Dean and Sam roll up onto Amanda's house.
Yeah, so the boys come up, they pick lock her house, ready for a fight, but then they come across her already dead.
This is a curveball.
Yeah.
Huh. Didn't expect to see her dead since she was just trying to kill Paul or whatever his name is. Yeah. And I love that as they're looking around, like, okay, yeah, she's dead. Like poke. Yeah, she's dead. Why would she have killed herself? Mm-hmm. You know, because she just killed these two people and got her revenge. Why would she then turn around and kill herself? And like, as Dean is like thinking things over, he like bumps into a dead bunny hanging from the ceiling that's like dripping blood into a bowl, and he has no teeth. And he's like, damn it. Why is it always the poor bunny, who has to suffer? And he quotes, there's a handful of movies quoted in this episode. And
this one was fatal. In this scene, it was Fatal
Attraction. Right.
Earlier, they mentioned Blair Witch Project.
Yep. Later, they tap Hellraiser.
Yes.
But yeah, so the dead bunny, obviously in Fatal Attraction, Glenn Close boils a bunny in revenge for a guy breaking up with her after having an affair with Michael Douglas.
I've seen that movie, so I didn't understand.
Oh,
what
yeah.
That reference was for.
Glenn Close has an affair with Michael Douglas, who is married. He has a daughter. She breaks into the house, steals the daughter's bunny, boils it on the stove, and leaves it for the family to find.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's a twisted movie. It's a twisted movie. But yeah, that's when people talk about boiled bunnies. It's
I've never heard anyone talk about boiled bunnies, but it's okay.
Well, Dean just did. Why is it always the bunnies? So there you go.
Yes. And so I thought that he was talking about
like rabbit's feet.
Bad Day at Black Rock with the rabbit's foot. And the whole ritual that it takes to like turn the rabbit's foot actually lucky in that way, or turning it into a cursed object. It was like this killing it, draining the blood in the cemetery at a full moon on Friday the 13th or whatever the hell it was.
And Fatal Attraction. So
it's a nice little jump scare there where, it's like, whoa.
And he has to check himself.
Yes. Yes. So, maybe she's just unstable after all, finished her job and just wanted to kill herself for a final dramatic effect. But no, there's actually a hex bag for her underneath her glass coffee table where her cleavage is so beautifully displayed.
Yes. So hex bag number 3.
And they opened this one, and I think I saw a razor blade in it.
I didn't see that
in the mix of.
But bones. It makes sense. It makes sense that she was slashing her wrists. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't pause it to look. I just thought I saw something shiny and sharp. So who's now offing this witch? Is it witches against witches? Is there a coven? Yeah, probably. But why? Why would they kill this one?
Right.
Dean anonymously calls 911, so at least they can take care of the body, and then that's it.
So the next thing we see is this like suburban house.
Yes, a suburban house with very like
got those motivational posters on the wall.
Yes. and a husband who, it's
a
very
misogynistic jerk.
Yeah, he is. But there's which I have a funny background story for that too.
He's supposed to be leaving the house so the ladies can have like their book club. And he's like, oh, I know what book club is. I never see any books. All you guys do is gossip and, catty chat. I was like, just leave, dude. Just if your wives want to have a girls' night, just leave the house.
Okay. So this is also derived from real life. Eric Kripke's wife has a book club. And he's like, I never see them have the books that they're actually talking about, which all just screams suspicious to me. So, of course.
So I'm going to write about it on
coven.
Supernatural. Oh my God. That's funny. Yeah. Dish and gossip, and I've never seen a book. But he does leave. And the ladies are all smiles because now there's 3 of them. at the house for book club. It's
there's a blondie, Elizabeth, there's a brunette, and then there's Elizabeth from earlier, who was the one that was chatting with Amanda.
Yeah, who's concerned about Amanda.
Yes, and she's still concerned about Amanda. She comes in to hear and be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe like we're still just gonna go on like nothing happened. Like Amanda's dead, and you didn't even tell your husband he loved Amanda." And Blondie is like, "Hey, listen, Amanda was a little bit off her rocker. She killed herself because she probably killed Janet, and there's nothing we can really do about that. But really, you want to stop book club? I mean, it's brought you so many great things so far."
Right. So out comes the altar, like blanket of witchcraft sigils and stuff, and they start chanting
over a book. I will say there was a book involved.
Yes.
And the book it was the Book of Shadows, which I believe is kind of a Charmed reference, but I never watched that show, so I can't say for sure. But I think that those sisters also had a Book of Shadows.
I believe you're right.
I think this is a general witch thing that every witch or coven or what have you has their own Book of Shadows, which is very like the one that we just talked about with Amanda, where it's like their own home-written recipes and spells for things that have like been passed down, from the original tome of spells, whatever that may be called.
So now we see Dean and Sam as Detective Bachman and Turner. Yeah. You ain't seen nothing yet. Bam, bam. But baby, you just ain't seen nothing yet. So they are at Elizabeth's house and talking to Elizabeth about the death of Amanda. And they're like, come on, give it up. Her house was full of satanic paraphernalia. I mean, they're like just laying it out there.
Yeah. Sam, the herbologist, comes out, she's like, "Oh, wow, look at all of these out of season herbs you have growing in your garden.
You must have a green thumb." Yes. Mm-hmm. She's like, "But she was a Presbyterian. She's not a Satanist."
Episcopalian, but yes.
Oh, Episcopalian. Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought that was cute.
Well, she's slightly confused over why these two detectives are talking to her. Up come the other two book club chicas, Blondie and the other girl, and they are rude and so snotty to Sam and Dean. It's like they've gone beyond like being protective of this other girl. They're just like, "No, my name is Mrs. Van Allen, and just who do you think you are?" I'm like, who talks to people like that, Karen?
That's a very Karen lady.
Right?
It seemed to me like they were swooping in to cover for Elizabeth, who's kind of crumbling under the pressure of Bachman.
Right?
And Turner.
Yeah, they're not. They're not. They're not protecting her. They're protecting themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
But it works because Sam and Dean are like, "Nope, don't even want to touch that. We're just gonna go."
Yeah.
Well, once Sam and Dean leave, they do mention the garden again. Like
they do
I don't know if they called it a victory garden, but
they do a little a deep dive drive.
Yes.
I coined it.
Deep Dive Drive by Sammy Salloway. But yeah, he mentioned that there's Belladonna, there's Mandrake, and I underlined Mandrake. I was like, "Oh, Mandrake!" There was one other poisonous or spalicious herb, and I forget what it was. Wolfsbane. All of which are used in wolf trap. Witchcraft. Sorry.
They're all like poisonous and or hallucinogenic in some way. A very unique herb garden.
Yes. And Sam has also researched that Amanda has also had some pretty good luck. Elizabeth, darn it. Amanda's dead.
Amanda's dead, and Elizabeth is like the cutie,
is the
nervous,
is the Swedish girl. Yeah. Okay, so Elizabeth has had some good luck. Like one like the lottery once, or has won like drawings and raffles and things like that. Little things that are newsworthy, not overly newsworthy, but more than the average person.
Right. And also Mrs. Renee Van Allen has also had a stack of good luck, and that she's like wins a bunch of craft contest
awards, right?
Thing.
Yeah, woo. I also love that once again Martha Stewart is invoked in this talk as some sort of paragon of virtue. You know, and that still kind of cracks me up. The regular Martha Stewart. I'm like, before we really knew Martha Stewart. So Sam in this moment is like, they need to be stopped.
Yeah.
You know, and Dean says, stopped? You know, and Sam's like, yeah, stopped. And Dean kind of circles back into Sam mode and is like, but they're human. Mm-hmm. And Sam circles into Dean's mode, but they're murderers. He's like, they kill people. We need to kill them. So it's
they're practicing the black magic. They stop.
Yep. So it's a reversal.
It was a complete reversal, particularly from, I keep forgetting the episode, with Max, with the stepson who was like killing everybody who failed to protect him from his
failed
abuse.
To protect him. Right.
It was almost like a literal. I feel like this exact conversation happened, but in reverse.
Right.
Dean was he's human. Like, we gotta stop him.
But he's killing people. He's a victim, but he's killing people. Yes, you are exactly right. It's almost the exact same conversation, just flipped. The brothers are flipped. Yeah. While they're having this discussion, the Impala like sputters and like stalls out and rolls to a stop in front of Ruby, standing in the middle of the road. And Ruby reveals at gunpoint.
Right, yeah. She's there to tell them, get out of town. Don't even, this is not worth it.
Yeah,
just go.
Sam, you need to go. There is something here that's bigger than you. You need to go.
Yeah. And this is the first time Dean has met Ruby, and he does so at, you said, gunpoint.
Gunpoint, pulls out the Colt. Yeah.
That she fixed.
Right. And she's just like, she's just going to keep going though. She's, he's pointing the gun at her and is getting more and more agitated, and she just keeps going and going. And it's like, there is a demon here that will kill you, that wants you, that will not stop. And keeps pushing Dean. It's like, well, you've been, get out of the way, Dean. You're going to get Sam killed. You just basically shut up.
Yeah. They like fight with each other. They're yelling at each other and like pulling out all the stops. He's yelling all these like nasty demon insults at her, and she's hitting him with the
taunts him right back.
Leaving Sam, like you made this deal at Sam's expense, and now you're just gonna like leave him alone to deal with this. And then it gets to the point where at the peak, Dean just shoots at Ruby, but Sam, intervenes.
Blocks it.
Pushes the arm away. Yeah,
knocks the gun up, and the bullet goes away. Yep.
And then Ruby disappears.
Yep. Sam kind of leaves it, like it's like poof, she's gone, and there's no other discussion. It's just like, that's it.
Yeah.
End of scene.
They get in the car. They pull up to the Motel of the Week, which is a beautiful.
Right.
Like old
orange
Spanish.
Adobe. Yeah. Later on, we learn it's the Conquistador Inn.
Yeah.
But yes, like this orange, like Adobe walls, very cool.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And they're still fighting about Ruby.
Yeah. So you can tell that they did start fighting in the car, and now they're continuing the fight. In which case, Dean is like, why are we in cahoots with her? This is stupid. And Sam is like, dude, if she wanted us dead, all she needs to do is stop saving our lives.
Right.
Which that's a
Full
good point.
stop. Full stop. Good point. I wrote that super big good point, which stops Dean
a little bit. And also, but he also makes a point of, he calls back to the Sin City demon, Casey. He's like, okay, so Ruby's bad, but what about Casey?
But you're
like,
Casey.
You talked with her for like hours.
You chatted her up, And Dean is starting to now be, taken aback because he's listening to Sam. And he's like, "Are you okay?
Yeah.
Like this doesn't sound like you." And then Sam is like, "Ugh, why do you keep asking me? And it's one of those now, again, the reversal is still happening. It's not just like, they flipped. It's still happening.
Right.
I mean, Sam's like, you're mad. And Dean's like, I'm not mad. I'm nervous. I'm scared for you.
Yeah.
You're not sounding like yourself. And Sam's like, what? Am I sounding like you? Because that's what's
the point.
Yeah. I am intentionally changing who I am. I need to be more like you.
Yeah.
And while Dean is like digesting this information, he's like starting to double over in pain. Like his stomach is starting to hurt him.
Yeah. So there's just like a couple points that I want to point out here. I thought it was very cute and very funny that Dean is like, you're the one that's supposed to be, voting for the sanctity of life and like giving me a hard time for wanting to kill everybody. Funny. Also, Sam in his argument of, I need to be more like you because when you're gone, I'm going to be left alone. I need to fight this fight alone. And this was, I think, the first time Sam has kind of accepted Dean's fate and not fighting for, like, getting him released out of his deal. Because usually the argument is, like, we got to get you out of this, man.
Yeah, Dean, why aren't you fighting to, yeah.
And this one, Sam is just like, you're going to go and
die. Leave me in this shithole world. Yep.
Yeah, so I need to do something about it.
That's very telling that's the acceptance part of, the 5 stages of death or 3 stages of
something
death.
Like that.
That's like one of them is acceptance. There's denial, fear, and finally, acceptance, because there's bargaining and blah, blah, blah. Now he's accepted that Dean's going to die.
Yeah.
Even though Ruby has promised them both, well, at least promised Sam, that she has a way to save Dean. But it doesn't seem like Sam is going to rely on that now.
Yeah, because interestingly enough, he doesn't even bring that up in this argument. And I think that he's told Dean that Ruby is going to help with that.
Well, it does come up later. If it hasn't already come up, we do hear it later.
Regardless, he doesn't bring it up now. It's very strictly, in a few months you're going to go and then I'm going to be alone. That's it. No, I'm going to try.
We're going to fight. Yeah. No, but interrupted by Dean now doubling over in pain. Like, oh, this isn't right. I feel like I've got knives in my belly. And Sam immediately jumps into action, starts looking around the room for hex bags, tears open the mattress, nothing. He's like, I can't find it. In the meantime, Dean is now spitting blood.
Yeah.
He's like, this is not good. I can't find the hex bag. What do I do? Mm-hmm. So he grabs the Colt and takes off, and Dean is like, Sam, wait,
I'm bleeding on the floor.
And he jumps into the Impala and drives off. In the meantime, we see the Coven chicks chanting. Yeah. They're doing something. We see Dean alone, gagging and choking on the floor of the motel. Ruby kicks in the door like a badass and like wrestles with Dean. He's like, back off, bitch.
Yes. And she feeds him this like gross black looking liquid.
Out of some weird bladder bag. Like jams it down his throat, and he is choking on this stuff. In the meantime, Sam has kicked in the door at the Coven's house and is pointing the gun at the witches, or at the Coven, I should say. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I know what you're doing. Stop it. You're killing my brother. Either you stop or I kill you.
Right. And they deny it. They're just like, no, we're not doing anything.
We were trying to get better interest rates on our mortgage, which cracked me up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was like, speaking of witchcraft, I would do that. Yeah. I would totally do that.
Right. Right. So back in the motel, Dean, I do like that Ruby stood up for herself. She was like, stop calling me bitch. And he's a little bit shocked that she saved his life. And, she points out it's like, it's called witchcraft.
Because he's like, what is that? Like, what did you just pour down my throat? It tasted like ass. Was it ass? And she's like, it's witchcraft. Short bus.
Dean's got a couple of good, he's got a couple of good deliveries here, although I did not appreciate the
short bus
insults, which seems even out of touch during
at that time,
2007, 8, whenever it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That just shows the level of childishness, I would say, for the both of them.
Right. Or even the writers.
Well, yeah, because it's inappropriate and it's unacceptable to, mock people for their situations that they have no control over.
That being said, I did like Dean's delivery after she leaves the room and he tries to come up with a comeback and he can't. Except for just
giving it the same thing back. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not stupid. You're stupid. Stupid. Yeah, that's
exactly. Funny. So back at the house in the coven, with all these 3 ladies at the cult's gunpoint, and Sam even is like, okay, you know about witchcraft, you know about this gun, you know the power that it holds. But once the 2 ladies are like, we're just trying to get better mortgages, Sam is like, what the fuck? But then turns to the 3rd lady with the short brown hair. It's like, okay, so it may not be you and it may not be you, but what about you?
Right. They've all had good luck.
Exactly.
There's like
haven't. There's tons and tons and tons of like stacks of good luck with these 2, crafts and pottery and Hawaii.
Right.
But nothing about you.
He's like, what? I couldn't, I don't. And she just can't fake the sincerity any longer. She's like, done. No. I can't. Yep. Rather than fake this stupidity, she's like, boom, demon. She's like, you got me.
All right, fine.
I can't. Yep. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it?
Yeah. And so when he demands that she let Dean go, she does not relent. Not even close. She's just like,
he's dead.
He's probably dead right now. Too bad you didn't find my hex bag in time. And then Sam shoots the cult. But then her name is Tammy.
Of course it is.
Stops the bullet of the Colt Matrix style.
Yep. Puts her hand up and the bullet freezes and drops to the floor.
Yep.
And then at that same moment, she also mind blasts Sam across the room and into the wall. And this is the one thing I didn't like. Well, not the one thing, but one of the girls says, Tammy, what's wrong with your eyes? Not, Tammy, did you just fucking stop a bullet and mind blast that guy against the wall? She's like, what's wrong with your eyes? I was like, focus, people, focus. What just happened?
But no, and then the other one, the blonde one, her pretentious ass is like, not in my house. You don't throw men into my wall and ruin the drywall and the paint.
You don't tell me what to do. Yeah. Oh, God.
In my own house. And of course, she gets her neck broken in the process because she's arguing with a freaking demon.
With a demon about what was she thinking? My house.
She's like, she just saw somebody, like you said, stop a bullet in midair and at the same time throw a giant man into the wall.
Right? No, it's how dare you disrespect me in my house? It's Karen. Yeah. It's 100% Karen had her neck snapped.
Karen before Karen existed.
I know. Oh, maybe Supernatural started the Karen.
Maybe.
And of course, Tammy turns to Sam, who's like pinned up against the wall and is like, nice dick work, Magnum, meaning detective work. And of course, it's Magnum PI. So there's a TV show call out, Magnum PI. What's the other one that they couldn't? There's another TV show. Oh, Survivor. They quoted Survivor. She said something about
off the island.
Which is getting voted off the island.
Also, there's this demon is very good at exposition and backstory.
Oh yes.
Because poor little mousy Elizabeth is just like, oh my god, what did you do? I didn't mean to do anything. And then Demon Tammy is just like, dude, you sold your soul to me. Like, who did you think you were praying to over this book, demonic book?
Yeah. Like, you 100% sold your soul to me. This was every step of the way you knew what you were doing. But then turns to Sam and is like, well, I'm so glad you're here. So glad you're here. Because now I can tell you that there's a new leader in town. It's not you. It's not you, Sam, because, I don't follow you. I'm not worshiping you. There's somebody bigger and badder. And they don't want any competition, so they are going to come after you.
Yeah.
So my question, I was like, ooh, who's the bigger and badder? Because honestly,
you don't know?
I don't remember. No, I don't remember the bigger and badder. I know who holds the contract of Dean.
But no, you know what? You're wrong. I know who you're thinking of, but it's actually, these two are the same person. Or demon. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Then okay. Well, then I can't wait. I can't wait to go in, because wrong, please.
Right. So yeah, Demon Tammy is, like, listen, this bigger demon wants you out of the pictures. And then starts to kind of like pressurize Sam into the wall, which I guess my question is like, why didn't you just, you did it with the lady seconds. Are you relishing this moment here of killing Sam?
It's demons. It's their own form of monologuing. It's that whole,
it's the James Bond villain.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say. To set up this huge trap, to slowly kill somebody when all you had to do was snap their neck.
So I have some research about this demon, Tammy demon.
Oh, okay.
This name is never said in the episode, but she is credited as Astaroth.
Yep.
Because I was like, okay, this demon can stop a bullet of the Colt in midair, which, no other demon has been able to do, or monster. Who is this chick?
Bigger, badder demon. Yeah.
Astaroth is like a Duke of Hell and part of the Satanic Trinity. So there's Lucifer, Beelzebub, and then this person, Astaroth.
Wow. I knew that they were part of a trinity. I just didn't know. Wow. Interesting that there's a bigger and badder
than the Duke of Hell of the part of the Trinity. I know.
Exactly.
I wonder if that's why they never actually said her name.
Said their name. I read somewhere that it would have been too specific.
Yeah.
Because I read that, but I also read that there was hints about who that is. Like in some of the sigils that you see in previous scenes is the sigil of that demon.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, I couldn't tell you which one it is. I wouldn't even pretend to know. But somebody saw it. So I'm sure the props department put it in there, and maybe they decided to not specifically name that demon.
Yeah, I guess so. I just saw it when I was looking on IMDb, and then that actress was listed as
that
Astaroth, and not like head demon witch or whatever.
right. Lesbian witch number 3.
Right.
So
speaking of lesbians,
well, first, Dean bursts in. So Sam is being crushed into this wall. Dean bursts in. And then he gets mind blasted into across the room and into another wall.
My word for word, my note was, just then Dean comes to the ... Oh wait, he's immediately blasted to the wall. That didn't last long.
Gun in hand and all.
Yeah.
Like tossed over the couch.
Right.
Into the wall, breaks a poster. Then in walks Ruby. And hands in the air, and it's like, wait, please, wait. She's all like, what is it? Supplicant? Yeah, she's all like, wait, don't do this. I need to talk to you. Don't hurt me. Type of.
Yeah, so it's like the boys here are a gift for you. They're my offering.
Yes, I brought them here for you.
Yeah.
And I love that Dean has a one takeaway look at Sam and is like, I told you so. They're both smashed against the wall being held by, supernatural forces. But he's like, I told you so. I told you Ruby was a bitch. But Ruby is trying to, she's saying all these things like, I've always not loved you, but I have followed you, or I forget. It's very lesbian
innuendo. Yeah.
Yes.
It's so much so that Dean, they can do another cutaway to Dean where he raises his eyebrows
like, huh? Yeah. But all the while stepping closer and closer to Tammy, just so that at the last second she can whip out the demon blade and try to stab Tammy with the demon blade. But if Tammy can stop a bullet, she can see the demon blade coming.
Yeah.
And manages to knock the blade away and start an amazing drag out fist fight between these two demons.
Oh yeah.
Which I want to credit the fight directors for not having any hair pulling or like girly grunting, like none of that. It was two demons punching each other, kicking each other in the stomach, knocking each other out. It was just battling. There was no sexual overtones. There was no gender specific fighting.
No. And I would say that I don't know how many like girl fights there have been in these episodes so far, either like one or both sided, but I don't feel like we've had a lot of like girly grunting going on.
We haven't, but they could have in this moment.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. Especially what came seconds before with the
right. Exactly.
My knees,
right. Given, the booby smash of earlier, like we could have.
Oh, that too.
We could have gone down that path, but they didn't. This was a knockdown, drag out fight, and I loved it. Yeah, it was good fight choreography. It was well done, and Ruby gets her ass kicked. I mean, she gets
epically.
She ends up getting a fireplace poker across the face, and is like out.
Yeah,
and she gets thrown through a TV.
It did remind me a little bit of early seasons of Buffy. Once they got the money to actually have stunt doubles, but they like overutilized the stunt doubles, if you remember.
Yeah, the stunt doubles are like a foot taller than
I know
the actual. Yeah,
but I loved this fight, and I loved like the hair whipping back and forth, which I do believe was just like a camera trick of like trying to hide actual Ruby versus stunt Ruby.
Right.
But here we go. Tammy gives out more expo/backstory of Ruby. How when Ruby was a human, she was a witch who then sold her soul to
me.
Her. Yeah, me, her, Tammy. But then while she's going on this monologue, little cutie Liz has like slipped away into the background and starts, doing something at the altar.
At the altar, she like pours out this little like dish of crafting pins.
She's so unassuming that nobody knows.
Yes, nobody knows. She literally is sneaking across the scene, like her back to the camera, like boop, boop, boop.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Not meant to be funny, but it is kind of
a little bit, yeah.
But yeah, so while Tammy's monologuing about Ruby being a witch when she was human, and then sold her soul to the demon, she starts chanting.
Mm-hmm. Elizabeth is chanting, and Ruby. Tammy is chanting. Tammy is starting an exorcism.
An exorcism against Ruby.
On Ruby. Ruby is not in a devil's trap. Tammy is a demon herself. So, holy crap. This demon's a big deal.
Big deal. That she's able to start to draw Ruby's demon out of her, quote, meat suit. And as Ruby is starting to smoke out of her body, Tammy starts to cough and choke a little bit of blood, and she's able to like reach into her mouth and pull out a giant like knitting pin. It's almost like a hat pin. This thing.
It's a lot like a hat pin.
And she almost has like a clever girl moment, like clever girl, because obviously she knows what just happened, and she turns, looks at Elizabeth, and just makes a hand gesture, like a crushing gesture with her hand, and crushes. It's like she crushes her throat, without mind crushes
or her heart or something
or whatever. Just
Elizabeth just drops dead.
Yeah, that's it. Another face plant, dead, but no booby squish. Unreal that like unassuming little Elizabeth, who was so confused and so rattled by everything, totally gave her life in this moment.
She did, yeah.
Knowing that she was damned because the demon Tammy said, you sold your soul to me,
Yeah.
It's gone.
And I just watched like my other friend get her neck twisted by you, so.
What else? Yeah.
She bought enough time for Tammy to get distracted, and that both Ruby and the two boys are released from her mental grasp. Enough time for Dean to pick up the magic ruby blade and stab Tammy.
Over and over. And he doesn't just stab her once. He's like, I got it. And he
shanks her.
Yes, absolutely. And, Tammy dies that electrical demon death, which I love.
Yes.
Dean goes and helps Sam up. Dean picks up the Colt. Dean picks up the shotgun. Ruby picks herself up.
Mm-hmm.
Ruby stands herself up and says to the boys, I got this. I got to clean up this mess. You guys just need to go.
Yep.
And she pulls the knife out of Tammy, and it's like still smoking.
Smoking.
Still
I did like that little touch. The wrap up where Dean is, out for snacks and they're back at the motel. And then we get the sneaky signs of the electricity and the lights and the
lights flickering.
And
again, no, but not initially. Like Dean has to look left, he has to look right, he has to look straight again, and then Ruby shows up. It's like the same thing with the crossroad demons. It's like, are you left? Are you right? Are you here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Here she is.
How do we utilize the camera trick of like appearing and disappearing into thin air? So there's Ruby, and here they have a semi heart to heart in which Ruby basically says, yeah, I was human. All demons were human at one point.
All demons.
And they were turned into, or rather forgot who they are or what they are, whilst being in the pit of hell.
Thus becoming a demon. And she says, this will happen to you.
Yeah.
And Dean's like, so you can't actually help me. And she's like, no, I can't. And Dean can accept that, but he's like, then why would you tell Sam that you could help me?
Yeah.
And she says, well, it's to get him to listen to me for one thing, because I'm a demon, but to get him on my side, prepare him for what's coming. You and I have to change him.
We have to toughen him up, basically.
Yeah.
Like what you just did, what you did with that demon, just like stabby, stab, stab. That's what he
up close,
needs
personal, stabby, stab. Yeah. And Sam doesn't have that in him yet.
No, he's getting there, but not quite there yet. So I need your help to help toughen him up so he can continue this fight.
As much as the whole camera tricky thing in the previous scene, we kind of bashed a little bit. In this scene between Dean and Ruby, they used close-ups, not overly close-ups, but they used close-ups. And I was like, I loved that because it showed there's no distractions. There's no supernatural distractions. There's no scenic distractions. It's just them talking to each other one-on-one. Even though each time they spoke, each had the screen. There's never any shared FaceTime.
Yeah.
I liked that. I was like, it showed purity and honesty between the two characters.
Yep. It's just dialogue. And it's a dialogue similar to what he had with Casey.
But honesty.
It's like, okay, let's break down like this, demon, human, whatever. And then he finally asks like the question that, why? Like, why do you want us to win?
Yeah.
And her answer is because I still remember what it's like to be human. I'm not like the rest of them, and I don't really know why, but I do remember what it's like to be human.
Yep.
And then leaves
not
Dean
the
with
answer.
That.
Yeah, not the answer Dean was expecting.
She disappeared,
and nor was I. But now she's gone, so we can't ask her.
Yeah.
Poof, she's gone.
And then it blackouts.
End of episode. I wondered when the lights flickered, before her arrival, because Sam was in the motel room. Yeah. Like, did he notice the lights flicker?
That's a good point. Yeah, because he's just like splashing his face, like, holy shit, man, what a night.
What a night. Yeah, flicker, flicker. I would have been like, no, what next?
Yeah, I just wanted to leave.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be a real bummer for a demon. There's no sneaking up on people.
I know.
Flicker, flicker, damn it.
Yeah, sulfur. Ugh.
When we're coming, when we've been there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my question, as with Dean's, which is, if Ruby remembers what it's like to be human and she knows what's coming, does she think she could turn the tide? Does she think that humanity is worth saving? Is what's coming so bad that we have to? It's so many questions, I guess. Which is, what does one demon think they could do stem the tide of.
Right. And it's not like, okay, that's not really a motive, though, to want to help you guys win. Like, I guess maybe you don't want to see the world overtaken by demons. Okay, I would have accepted that answer. It's been like, listen, I'm not quite like them, and I do not want to live in a world in which they reign supreme. So you guys are our only hope, Obi-Wan Kenobi, or whatever. And,
I guess it's cryptic enough that you want to be like, what?
So then the next time we see Ruby, she can explain further. Okay. All right. Okay.
Got it. I liked this episode.
I did too.
It was a nice change from the red sky at dawn or whatever, red sky at morning, which I've had such a hard time like thinking of memes and GIFs and stuff for it. Cause I'm like,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
The imagination well dry. I can't think of anything pithy. Stupid red sky at morning. Hand of joy or whatever it's called.
Glory.
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 Gloire.
Oh, I bet that's what it was. That's the gloire. Okay, so with this episode, I have one more bit of behind the
trivia.
Scenes.
Okay.
Trivia. Yes. Trivia. That's the word. So the title, which is of the ancient book,
yes,
was referring to what this original story was supposed to be, which was a demon came in to this small town and through a series of events started convincing people that a coven of witches lived there. So creating in itself kind of a modern day Salem witch.
Wow. That would have been cool.
It would have been cool, but they were like, this is very close to Sin City, which we just did.
I was just going to say, it's very much just like that.
So then they like switched it up.
Changed it. I still liked it.
No, I did too. I would have also liked to see that one, but I absolutely get where they were coming from of like, we just did this.
and of course the odd thing is that Seven Deadly Sins, it's humanity and it wasn't actually the demons.
Right.
I mean, the demons planted the seed. That's all they did was they planted the idea of the seed.
Right.
The seed of
and
the
this
idea,
kind of would have been the same thing as, like, oh, you plant the seeds of suspicion and then their imagination gets carried away.
Yep. And then that could have been a whole different story, though, that all these women were just not even practicing,
no, I don't
to win the lottery.
That they were. I don't believe that anyone was practicing witchcraft in the original idea, which I don't know how far it got in the script process, but yeah, they're just like, maybe there is actually witches in this town, but they're just using it for, cutesy little
for
things.
Modern things, except for the first one who murdered. Used it for murder and then used it for murder again. And then that also could have been prompted by the demon. She could have been like, are you going to let her get away with this? Are you going to let him break up with you? So we don't know if something was there, but it was interesting that these women were actively engaging in witchcraft, whether it was to win the lottery or, to
cast revenge on like their side guy or as the side chick. Anyway, but this also was a chance for them to like kind of introduce Ruby's backstory as a witch herself, which I thought was nice because we finally get to know Ruby a little bit more and get invested in her as a character.
Yep. We still don't know why she has a demon blade, though.
No. You know what? Honestly, I don't think that we ever figured that out. I honestly cannot remember an episode in which they explained the demon blade, but it then just exists forever.
It just exists. Because I kind of thought in this moment that Dean was going to be like, yoink, and like take the blade out of the body and be like, mine, bitches. But he didn't. I had to rewind it. I was like, oh, he took the Colt and he took his sawed off and Sam who needed help.
Maybe that was his like truce. Like, okay, you saved my life. I won't take your knife. I'm a poet.
Or
I didn't even know.
Thanks for the knife.
Yeah. All right, so that's gonna wrap it up for Malleus Maleficarum.
Thank God it's a dead language.
Yes, and then I don't have to repeat it again in the future.
Just end with boobies like he did at the end of Red Sky and Morning. Blah 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 blah. Boobies.
Boobies. Thank you so much for listening. Please, if you have the time, if you wouldn't mind giving us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, that would really help us out. But yes, you can download us and subscribe to us anywhere that you can find podcasts. You can also follow us on social media. We are at Salt and Burn This everywhere. We will soon be on YouTube. I am trying to deal with that channel now.
You can do it, Sammy. You can do it. Get us on YouTube.
Yes, there will at least be like the newest episodes, but the backlog is going to take a while. But you know, we're elsewhere, so there are places to find us. So, and we will see you next week for Dream a Little Dream of Me.
Of me. I don't remember this episode at all.
I kind of remember it, but not the specifics. But this keeps happening. I forgot that it happened so early on. Like all these iconic episodes are like happening right away, and I feel like, stop.
No, not yet. Is this when that happens? All right, well, I feel like this season is starting to like kind of ramp up a little bit. Mm-hmm. They did a little bit of a slog, and now they're ramping back up again. Mm-hmm. So
thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.